massive predators ruling prehistoric rainforests for millions of years, long before the rise of mammals. The dense, humid jungles of primeval Earth were not the serene ecosystems we might imagine. They were savage arenas, ruled by a succession of terrifying superpredators, each more formidable than the last. These were the true kings of the ancient jungle, colossal beasts that stalked the fern-choked undergrowth and lurked in the murky, vine-tangled waters. Their reign was one of terror, a constant, brutal struggle for survival written in tooth and claw. We journey back through the mists of time, peeling back the layers of rock and foliage to uncover the stories of these forgotten tyrants, from the sprawling crocodile-like amphibians of the Carboniferous swamps to the feather-clad sickle-clawed dinosaurs of the Cretaceous jungles. This is the chronicle of the ancient jungle kings, the monstrous sovereigns of a world lost to time. Our first stop is the Carboniferous period, around 315 million years ago. The world was a vast, steamy greenhouse, covered in immense tropical wetlands and swampy forests, unlike anything that exists today. Towering 50-meter-tall club mosses and giant horsetails formed a dense canopy, while the forest floor was a labyrinth of rotting vegetation and shallow, blackwater pools. Oxygen levels were significantly higher than today, fueling the gigantism seen in many of the period's creatures, especially its arth. But crawling through this alien landscape were the true apex predators, the early amphibians. Among the most fearsome was Protagonus, a creature that embodied the transitional nature of life at the time. Stretching over 2 meters long, it possessed a powerful, eel-like body and a long, flattened tail, perfect for propelling itself through the murky swamp water. Its skull was robust and elongated, lined with a fearsome array of sharp, conical teeth designed for piercing the tough hides of its prey. It had 4 sturdy, well-developed limbs, suggesting it was equally adept on land. A terrifying amphibious hunter capable of ambushing prey both in and out of the water. Imagine this creature, a monstrous cross between a crocodile and a giant salamander, bursting from the shallows to snatch a large fish or even another, smaller amphibian, dragging its struggling victim back into the dark depths. Protagonus was a master of its domain, a primeval king ruling the very first global rainforests with brutal efficiency. As we move forward into the Permian period, the climate began to dry, and the vast coal swamps gave way to more varied environments. It was in this changing world that a new dynasty of predators rose to prominence. The Synopsids, the lineage that would eventually lead to mammals. One of the most iconic jungle hunters of this era was though often mistaken for a dinosaur, Dimetrodon was a pelycosaur, a mammal-like reptile, and a true apex predator of its time. Reaching lengths of up to 4.5 meters, its most distinguishing feature was the magnificent, sail-like stricture on its back, a fan of skin supported by elongated neural spines. While its exact function is still debated, possibly for thermoregulation or display, it would have been an intimidating sight rising above the Permian ferns. But the sail was mere ornamentation. The real danger lay at the front. Dimetrodon's name means 2 measures of teeth, a reference to its specialized dent. Unlike the uniform teeth of earlier predators, it possessed sharp incisors for nipping, formidably canine-like teeth for stabbing and killing, and shearing teeth at the back for slicing flesh. This dental toolkit made it an incredibly effective predator, capable of tackling large prey like the herbivorous set of. It would have stalked the riverbanks and floodplains that cut through the conifer forests. A powerful, semi-sprawling hunter, using its size and formidable bite to bring down any creature unfortunate enough to cross its path. Dimetrodon was not just a brute, it was a sophisticated killing machine, a true king of the Permian jungle whose reign marked a significant evolutionary step in predatory dominance. The end of the Permian brought the greatest mass extinction in Earth's history, wiping out the majority of life on the planet. But from the ashes, a new group of rulers emerged. The ancestors of crocodiles, pterosaurs, and the mighty dinosaurs. In the Triassic period that followed, before dinosaurs achieved their ultimate global dominance, other archosaurs held the throne. In the dense, tropical rainforests that covered much of the supercontinent, Pangaea, a terrifying predator known as Postosuchus, was king. Arachisutian Postosuchus was a heavily built, quadrupedal carnivore stretching up to 6 meters in length. It looked like a monstrous, land-dwelling crocodile, with a massive skull, powerful jaws filled with serrated, dagger-like teeth, and thick, scaly armor plating along its back. It walked with its legs held more directly beneath its body than its earlier sprawling ancestors, giving it a more efficient and powerful stride. This allowed it to patrol vast territories, hunting the early herbivorous dinosaurs and other large reptiles that shared its environment. Postosuchus was an ambush predator of immense power. It would have lurked in the dense undergrowth of cycads and ginkgo trees, waiting for the perfect moment to launch a devastating attack. Its bite force would have been incredible, capable of crushing bone and tearing through the toughest hide. For millions of years, this land crocodile was the undisputed apex predator of the late Triassic jungles, a brutal tyrant whose very presence would have sent shockwaves of fear through the primeval ecosystem. Then came the Jurassic, the age when dinosaurs truly inherited the Earth. While colossal sauropods browsed the treetops and giants like Allosaurus dominated the open plains, the dense jungles and riverine forests had their own specialized In these environments, a different kind of killer thrived. One such predator was Ceratosaurus. Though smaller than its contemporary, Allosaurus ceratosaurus was a formidable hunter, perfectly adapted for life in the woodlands. Growing up to 7 meters long, it was distinguished by the prominent blade-like horn on its snout and a pair of smaller crests over its eyes, likely used for display. It had a long, flexible body and a deep, powerful tail, making it more agile than many of its larger cousins. Its most lethal weapons were its disproportionately large, blade-like teeth, which were some of the longest relative to skull size of any theropod. Ceratosaurus likely specialized in hunting in the forested, wetter parts of the Morrison Formation, stalking prey like the ornithopid, Camptosaurus, or juvenile sauropod. It may have been a proficient swimmer, using its deep tail to patrol waterways and hunt aquatic prey like crocodiles and turtles. In the dappled light of the Jurassic jungle, Ceratosaurus would have been a terrifying specter, its horned head and gaping, blade-filled jaws, the last thing many of its victims ever saw. It was a king of a specific domain, a woodland tyrant ruling the shadowy spaces between the giant trees. Our final journey takes us to the late Cretaceous, the final act of the dinosaurs' reign. The rainforests of this period were becoming more modern, with the appearance of flowering plants, creating dense, complex jungle environments. It was here that the dromaeosaurs, the raptors, reached their terrifying zenith. In the jungles of what is now North America, a truly fearsome predator stalked the undergrowth. Discovered relatively recently, this creature shattered our perception of raptors. It was a giant, standing nearly 2 meters tall and measuring over 5 meters in length. It was no small, pack-hunting. It was an apex predator in its own right, built to tackle large prey. Like old dromaeosaurs, it possessed a large, sickle-shaped killing claw on the second toe of each foot. But on Daguerreotypes, this claw was an enormous lethal weapon over 24 centimeters long along its outer curve. Evidence of quill knobs on its arm bones confirms that this giant was covered in feathers, a monstrous, bird-like demon. It would have hunted in the dense coastal forests and floodplains of the Hell Creek Formation, sharing its world with Tyrannosaurus rex. While T-Rex may have been the undisputed king of the open country, Daguerreotypes was likely the master of the dense jungle, a swift and agile killer using its intelligence and its devastating claws to ambush and dispatch hadrosaurs, ornithomimids, and even young tyrannosaurs. Imagine a creature with the speed of an ostrich, the brain of a hawk, and a pair of razor-sharp sickles on its feet, bursting from the Cretaceous foliage. Daguerreotypes represents the pinnacle of dromaeosaur, a feathered king of the primeval jungle, and one of the last great predatory dinosaurs before the cataclysmic impact that ended their world. From the swamp-dwelling Proterogonus to the feathered terror of Daguerreotypes, the ancient rainforests were never without a ruler. Each era saw the rise of a new dynasty, a new king adapted to reign supreme in the world's most competitive and brutal environments. These were not just animals, they were living engines of destruction, embodying the relentless drive of evolution in its most savage form. They stalked, they ambushed, they fought, and they ruled their primeval kingdoms with absolute, terrifying power. The fossils they left behind are more than just bones. They are the enduring monuments to their reign, silent testaments to the long-lost sovereigns of a savage world. They are the ancient jungle kings, the true and terrible masters of the prehistoric reign, massive predators ruling prehistoric reign.